On this episode of CyberWatch, the money is in and out of cryptocurrency exchanges, qubits are coming for your encryption, and there's a solid reminder that people are as important as technology when it comes to keeping data secure. All this and details on a gaggle of vulnerabilities and exploits, both old and new, today in CyberWatch. Hello, and welcome to the CyberWatch podcast for the week of September 22nd, 2024. This is your weekly roundup of the news and analysis published on CyberWatch and brought to you by Access Point Consulting. I'm your host, Curtis Franklin. Let's get to the news. Bank robber Willie Sutton famously said that he robbed banks because that's where the money was. For today's criminals, the decentralized platforms, cryptocurrency exchanges, and smart contracts of the web are where the money is. And you don't have to be a gun-toting, fast-talking mobster to cash in on the criminal jackpot. North Korea has solidified its role as the world's most active state-sponsored criminal enterprise, responsible for numerous web heists. Since 2020, more than $12 billion in digital assets have been stolen through a wide range of methods, including social engineering, smart contract exploits, and web front-end attacks. For example, in 2014, cryptocurrency exchange Mt. Gox was handling roughly 70% of the world's Bitcoin transactions, making it a prime target for eager criminals. Hackers managed to siphon off 850,000 Bitcoin, equivalent to about $350 million at the time, but valued at over $25 billion today. The exchange eventually collapsed, and the theft remains one of the largest unsolved crimes in the history of crypto. The vulnerability landscape has shifted, with hackers now leveraging the intricate features of blockchain technology itself in operations like the May 2024 attack on DMM Bitcoin Exchange, in which $300 million was stolen. These more complex attack vectors, including decentralized finance platforms, smart contracts, and non-fungible token marketplaces, show just how far the world of the web has come and how much more security is needed. Today, DeFi platforms use smart contracts to automate financial transactions, cutting out intermediaries like banks. Unfortunately, they often cut out the security offered by banks as well. In 2021, the Badger DAO attack saw $120 million stolen due to a compromised API key. Hackers were able to drain funds from users' wallets by tricking the platform into executing unauthorized transactions. Now, today, these platforms are large enough to capture the attention of the largest criminal players. North Korea, through its notorious Lazarus Group, has been linked to some of the largest cryptocurrency thefts in history, like 2022's hack of Axie Infinity, a blockchain-based gaming platform where over $600 million worth of coins were stolen. There are a wide variety of attacks, each focused on a feature that most web users consider a benefit of the distributed, less regulated platforms. Innovation must continue to build robust security frameworks and better best practices so the benefits of web-based finance can continue to outweigh the risks. Now, it's not often that an entire category of technology becomes obsolete in an instant, but the NSA sounded the alarm for just such an instant in a 2015 warning about Q-Day. That's what they call the day that quantum computing will reach the point at which the encryption currently used by banks, governments, and, well, everyone else becomes obsolete. Back in 2015, that day seemed quite far off, but many experts say it's now just around the corner. In one recent Forrester study, industry experts hypothesized that there's a 50 to 70% chance of quantum computing cracking all current crypto systems within the next couple of years. Fortunately, all is not lost. Last month, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, published its first set of ready-to-use post-quantum cryptography standards. The result of an 8-year development effort, these standards establish the benchmark for withstanding cyber attacks from quantum computers and signal to enterprises, government agencies, and vendors that it's time to begin transitioning. Now, some may wonder why there's any urgency to this process since quantum computers are still not widely available at scale and aren't expected to be for at least a couple of more years. Preparing now, though, will provide protection against attacks in which credentials and keys are exfiltrated today to be decrypted in the quantum future. Adopting quantum-safe algorithms will also prepare organizations for the happy day in which quantum computers enable secure data movement that can't be hacked by either the methods criminals have at their disposal today or those they're likely to have in the future. Now, while it's easy to focus on the technology side of cybersecurity, human beings may play the largest role of all. As a reminder, back in December 2020, Ticketmaster was hit with a $10 million fine for an act of corporate espionage. The company had engaged in unauthorized access to a competitor's computer systems using stolen login credentials to gather confidential business intelligence. And it all began when a senior employee from a rival ticketing platform left that rival and joined Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation. Now, when that employee started work for Live Nation, he brought more than a rich job history. He retained sensitive proprietary information from his previous employer, including access credentials for their systems. With this insider knowledge, he began collaborating with Ticketmaster executives, providing them with URLs and passwords to a password-protected system known as the Artist Toolbox. Now, rather than putting a quick stop to this illegal access, Live Nation's executives actively encouraged more of the same. Senior executives attended internal presentations where stolen information was used to compare their offerings against their competitors in a bid to benchmark Ticketmaster services. Ticketmaster also gained access to draft ticketing web pages the competitor created for upcoming events. Ticketmaster was then able to create a list of the competitor's upcoming events, giving them a crucial insider edge in trying to disrupt deals and steal clients. Live Nation was eventually caught, prosecuted, and found guilty with a $10 million fine as punishment. Even though this case occurred nearly 4 years ago and $10 million doesn't really seem that much money in today's corporate world, the lessons it imparts are more relevant than ever. The Ticketmaster case serves as a critical reminder of the need for companies to prioritize cybersecurity and ethical behavior in their daily operations. The case also highlights the importance of knowing how and where to draw a clear line between competitive actions and illegal practices. Illegal shortcuts may offer temporary benefits, but they often lead to long-term losses. Ethical practices and adherence to regulatory limits on corporate actions aren't simply nice things to have, they're critical to an organization's well-being. Well, before we go, there are a few things you should have on your cybersecurity radar. CapCut is a video editing tool developed by ByteDance to create videos for TikTok. It is enormously popular and therefore a target for criminals. A new attack uses reputational hijacking, which allows criminals to embed malware within a legitimate-looking package, bypassing smart app control and leaving users vulnerable to data theft and system compromise. It's a powerful reminder that in a world where trusted software is no longer immune from exploitation, everyone must remain cautious when downloading applications, even from seemingly legitimate sources. This week saw the September edition of Microsoft's Patch Tuesday. This time, around 79 different vulnerabilities were addressed, including 4 zero-day vulnerabilities and 10 critical vulnerabilities. Check out the entire list and remember that a robust data backup scheme and an organizational commitment to regular updates are 2 critical steps in digital corporate hygiene. Also last week, Adobe released security updates for several products, including a patch for a suspected zero-day vulnerability in Adobe Reader. The vulnerability's proof of concept exploit does require a user to open a malicious file, though history suggests this isn't as difficult as it might be in a more secure world. There is a patch for their vulnerability, so just as we said for Microsoft, go out and schedule a patch soon. Finally, a vulnerability affecting Apache Huge Graph server was disclosed in August and recently added to the CISA Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog. Exploitation of this vulnerability can result in remote code execution, leading to a complete compromise of the system's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The good news is that there's a patched version available, and you know what to do. Get those patches scheduled and enable user authentication for good measure. Well, that's it for this week. Please join us again next week for the CyberWatch podcast, brought to you by Access Point Consulting. And be sure to visit CyberWatch on LinkedIn and at www.accesspointconsulting.com/CyberWatch. I'm Curtis Franklin. We'll see you next week.